everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's Laurie from Cook Scrap Craft, and today I am going to be making a 2-page layout, and I'm using, I think, 6 photos or 5 or 6. No, I can't remember. I'm down in my scrap room. I could just look at the page, but I'm not going to get out of my chair and do that. So you're just going to have to find out how many photos I ended up using right along with me. So I did not have a design in mind when I sat down to do this. I had already pulled out some embellishments that I thought about using. Okay, so there's 5 photos. I was wrong when I said 6. 5 photos, most of which are vertical. Only the one is horizontal. But I didn't have a sketch in mind or an idea in mind. I was just kind of like, let's just see what happens. So I pulled some embellishments that I thought could work. These are photos that I took of a balloon festival that my family went to 2 summers ago. And so they're just kind of pictures of a carnival ride and drinking a milkshake and meeting some reptiles. And I just thought I'll just try to pull some like general embellishments that could be a fit for this. I've always find it helpful to kind of go to try to prepare first before I sit down. Otherwise, I'm spending a lot of time just like going through all my embellishments. And so little by little, like anytime I was down in my scrap room, I would just take a few minutes and pull one of my little embellishment envelope things and kind of take a peek inside and see if I could find anything that might be a good fit. So to start this off, I'm using 2 pieces of Bazill Basics cardstock in this really pretty blue color. And I always like to cut the branding strip off before I begin, because obviously I want to make sure that I'm only using 12 inches, 12 by 12 for the background, and I don't get confused and start scrapbooking where the branding strip is. And with the Bazill, I find it really hard. Like I have to measure where the 12 inches is because otherwise I don't really know where the end of the branding strip is. Like with the American Crafts thing you see there, you can tell like, oh, there's the pattern ends and then there's the branding strip, but the Bazill is just a solid piece of cardstock. So I think it's difficult to figure that out without measuring it. But so that's what I do. And then I'm taking 2 pieces of patterned American Crafts. It's not cardstock. It's pattern paper, but it's definitely not cardstock. I got this at Joann's and it's a very thin paper. It's not traditional American Crafts thick pattern paper that you would be used to if you were purchasing from American Crafts or from like a scrapbook.com or Paper Issues. This is a very thin paper. I'm assuming it's specially made for Joann, which is fine. I have no problem with it. I was just excited to see pattern papers from some of my favorite brands in the store and then I didn't have to pay shipping for them. So I've got that cool polka dot. I cut that into 4 by... No, I can't remember how long I cut it. But I didn't want to waste, I only had the 1 sheet. So I didn't want to waste a whole thing. So I just cut it so that it kind of, you're going to get the idea that maybe it's going behind these photos here, but without actually going behind the photos. So I cut it so that it's the same width as the 4x6 photo next to it. And of course, I don't know why things don't always line up properly. And even though I cut the Bazill to 12 by 12, that American Crafts paper is like just slightly longer. I don't know. Anyway, doesn't matter. I'm just going to cut the end off at the end when I, finish putting everything down on the page. So I've got the 4x6 photo, the polka dot pattern paper, and then I have 2 4x4 photos going on underneath. And then the paper with the arrows on top, I liked that it was, a cool arrow feel look to it. But I just cut only 1 strip of the arrows and that's my sort of border going along the top. And I wasn't going to add a border on the bottom, but you will see in a few minutes that I do. I'm trying to figure out the best placement for some of these embellishments. I want to see where I can put them. This is just the first side of the page. So I've got this cactus. Doesn't have anything to do with anything, but I have no idea when I would be using a cactus sticker. So I'm just going to use it. And then there was this cool scalloped circle frame that I liked. I had a big one and a small one. The small one I'm going to end up using on the other side of this layout, going over a photo. So I chose the bigger one to go behind the cactus, just kind of like layering the the pieces up. And then at the bottom, because my kid is riding a mini tractor, I went through this boy-themed collection of embellishments that I had from Echo Park, and I found some traffic cones and a stop sign, and I thought that would be fitting to use those down at the bottom, kind of like I'm putting them over the seam of where those two photos are connecting. It's not really how I wanted to describe it, but I can't think of the word that I want to use. So now I'm just going to layer this up. I've got a little tab at the top, which I think that actually is that might be from a Vicky Boutin embellishment pack that I got. But I'm going to create some extra dimension by layering this square chipboard sticker on top. It didn't have the paper backing on it, so it's just been, the adhesive has just been exposed in the storage container that I had it in. So I did add some extra adhesive just in case. And then I'm putting that cool like sun that says hey on top of the circle. I really like that embellishment cluster. That one might be my favorite from this layout. And now I'm trying to figure out, well, what do I do for the bottom half of this page? And I have these cool American Crafts thicker phrases, and I love using them as titles because they're nice big words. It takes the guesswork out of, well, do I have enough letters to spell this word and to do the title that I want to do? These phrases, you can just be like, oh, look, it says this. Let's make this be the title of the page. And then you're like not thinking about it anymore, right? So I am going to use one of those, and I will get back to that in a second. Here's the border strip that I'm going to add to the bottom. So I made a separate balloon festival page with the actual pictures of the balloons launching. And I had some of these strips left over because I had cut down the 12 by 12 piece of pattern paper. So I'm cutting one of these strips in half, and I used washi tape to stick it down on my paper cutter just because it was so thin, the width was not very long, and every time I tried to put like the blade down, the paper would kind of move a little bit, so the washi tape just helped it kind of stay in place. So I'm taking this balloon pattern paper and I'm turning it into the border that's going to go on the bottom of the photos, which I thought was pretty cool and a nice way to sort of tie these two layouts together and also use up scraps from my stash. So now we are sticking down the title, and you're like, why are you using a glue stick? So the problem with some of these American Crafts thicker phrases, and these I got from the Stamp and Scrapbook Expo. Now, I don't know how old they actually are. Maybe the company that sold them has had them for a long time, or maybe I got a bum batch, or maybe this is just the way things are with these American Crafts thicker phrases, but the adhesive is terrible. So I find that putting down a layer of glue either right on the paper or on the back of the stickers really helps, stick it down a little bit. And yeah, this glue goes on purple, but it will dry clear once it's done. So I'm not really concerned about that, but that's just a little tip. If you also have run into this problem with American Crafts or any other, stickers that just are not very adhesive anymore. So the title is Today Was Fun. I am going to come back to this and add a couple extra things at the end, but I don't know that yet because I want to see how the second half of the layout turns out. I want to see, because again, I didn't have an idea of how this was going to look in my head first. So I'm like, where should I put the journaling? Do I put it on the first page or do I put it on the second page? And then for this, I was thinking maybe I was going to do something totally different, but still incorporating those same patterns from the left side onto the right side. And then as I'm kind of like going through this, I'm like, you know what? I might as well just keep it the same because this way it looks like it's an extension of the first page. But just that polka dot paper has changed from the top to the bottom. And again, it's sort of like, is it going behind the photos or isn't it? I know, and you know, because you're watching this, but when somebody else is looking at the page, they're just going to be like, oh, that's cool. Did you just extend this paper behind all the photos? Okay, so I've got to line up my border strips, and I'm doing that first just because those pieces are what's adhered on the first half first side. And if I can get them lined up, even though they're not going to be totally side by side in my album, I like to at least attempt to have things be proportioned and correctly lined up so that everything looks like it's not super wonky. So I've stuck the bottom piece down, the bottom balloon paper border, and now I'm putting the polka dot paper down and then my 2 photos. And these are just vertical 4x6s. I've kept them the same size. They're going to layer on top of the polka dot paper, and then I'll cut another of the arrow paper and have that go up on the top. We had fun at this event. It was, we didn't go this year, but it was our first time being at this balloon festival, and it was a good time. They had a lot of free stuff for kids. There were a lot of vendors. Obviously, there were the carnival rides, but we tried not to spend too much money because obviously there's an admission cost to get in. As I am cutting this paper, I have a question for you guys, and I posted a short about this a couple days ago. How do you cut your paper with a paper trimmer? Because I used to always go top to bottom, and somebody somewhere said, oh no, it's actually supposed to be bottom to top. But I have found that the thickness of the paper really determines which way it should go. This thin American Crafts paper, it can't go bottom to top. It just can't. It gets messed up. But if I take it top to bottom, it's a nice clean cut. Now with the Bazill cardstock, it's a little bit thicker. So top to bottom, bottom to top, either one seems to work. But I'm just curious which way you guys do it, and if you have ever heard that there is a correct way to use a paper trimmer. So let me know in the comments, or go check out the video that I posted. It's just a short, so it's literally very short, and then you can let me know your thoughts on this big question that I'm sure, I don't know, maybe I'm not the only scrapbooker who has ever asked this question before. I don't know. All right, so I had some little phrase stickers and phrase pieces that I stuck next to that photo of my daughter. And then here I've got the other small scalloped frame circle. I'm going to layer up a couple other embellishments. So the circle is actually going over where my daughter is in that picture as she's going down that slide. And I'm using mini glue dots to stick this down because it's very thin. And it's, even if I cut the adhesive squares in half, they're too thick. You can see them behind it. So that's why I'm using the glue dots. I've got a fun American Crafts foam thicker. The foam thickers don't have as much issues with adhesive as the plastic ones. So that's something else to keep in mind. And then I have a very old chipboard sticker. I don't even know who makes it or where I got it. Probably I got it from Paper Issues. I don't know. But I've had it for a while. And it says favorite memories. It's spelled favorite like the British way with the U, favorite. I'll leave it, whatever. Doesn't make much of a difference to me. But I am adding in a couple extra little American Crafts heart stickers just to build out some of these clusters and add a little more visual interest, especially because the other side of the page isn't as, I guess, embellished as this side. But I'm going to do the journaling down here. And I also added a green arrow sticker. I kind of wanted the journaling to be closer to the title, but then it would have covered up my daughter's face the way, like the positioning of where I wanted it to be. So I just moved it down and I will live with it. But that's something else to think about when you're putting down your titles and like thinking where your journaling is going to be. You have to sometimes think about these things in advance so that you're not covering up parts of a photo that you don't want covered up. So anyway, these are the close-ups. I hope that this video was inspiring for you and your 2-page endeavors. And you come back to the channel again next time for more scrapbook process videos. And follow me on all my social channels. Bye!